going on, everybody? Welcome back to the AFC podcast. I'm very excited today because our special guest, our day player, is actually, believe it or not, an Astor-nominated actress. I got to review her film White Noise on Film Freeway prior to the Triborough Film Festival. Please, in your own way, unique way, a round of applause for Miss Caroline Heinle. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. You know, it's Saturday. It's a lovely rainy day, perfect day to sit inside and talk to you about films and filmmaking and all the fun entertainment stuff. So thanks for having me.
I'm really glad you're here. And I know I know we've actually been wanting to have this conversation for a few months, but you have been busy.
Yeah, it's been nonstop. Yeah. So thank you. I'm glad we finally found the time. Yeah, it's been cool.
So I mean, not to dominate the conversation, which I definitely try not to do. I apologize in advance. So
no, not at all. I think you're a great conversationalist.
I try, and the coffee's hot, so it'll carry us through. But no, I'm really curious. Who are you? Where are you from? How'd you get into acting? What's your journey been like? So I guess why don't we just honestly one-on-one take it from the top? What was what got you into the acting world?
Well, I guess it was performing for my family when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. I started singing around the house. I was obsessed with Disney and musicals like most little girls. And I just would start singing, and my parents were shocked that I could remember all the songs as quickly as I could. And so they would put me up in front of my family at Christmas parties, and I'd sing songs. And then I guess I just really loved performing. I started asking questions to them about how do I get on there? How do I do what they're doing? And so my mom actually started taking me into New York for commercial auditions. But I'm one of 4. So eventually that got to be too much for her. Cause I'm from New Jersey originally. And, so I started training at the Papermill Playhouse, and I performed in a few plays there. And then high school, college, I became obsessed with cheerleading and dance. I was a competitive cheerleader, so I kind of took a little bit of a break from the arts then. And then when I was in college, I was like most people, I feel like there's so much pressure to pick a major and figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I had no idea. And I also felt like I really, really, really missed acting and performing. But I had this weird mindset that it wasn't something that you could actually do and succeed at and have a career with. And my first job out of college was in PR in New York, and I hated it. And I started looking up auditioning, and I would sneak out on lunch breaks and go on auditions. And I remember I auditioned for the Sex and the City movie and all that stuff. So yeah, and then I just was I want to do this again. And I moved out to California and really got involved in sketch comedy. And I wrote I wrote with a troupe, and then we would perform them live, and got really involved in the indie world, had a lot of horror movies. And that's kind of my journey in a nutshell.
Journey in a nutshell. Back to when you said something, since you were performing since you were a kid, well, I could definitely relate to that. especially watching home movies from the time I was like 3 or 4, and just weird little funny things. And it really does make sense. I never really put a diagnosis to it, but believe it or not, that's actually called Brittany Murphy's Law.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is Brittany Murphy's Law?
So Brittany Murphy, God rest her soul. Brittany Murphy was in Clueless when she first started out, but she too was also, I believe, from New Jersey. She got a big break in Clueless and started doing, I think it's I'll Never Tell, a couple of horror movies. And she was also the original voice of Gloria in Happy Feet, the Penguin animation movie.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. I love her. She's amazing. Yeah.
But exactly. And there was a documentary not too long ago released about her. I forget if I watched it on Tubi or HBO Max, where unfortunately at 31 or 33 years old, prime of her life, our age, where it's like we're like we got this, she sadly died.
I know. I watched that documentary.
Yeah. So but to kind of like just like to get back to Brittany Murphy's Law, it literally like there was no question that she brought this energy to the screen. There was no question that she was very dynamic and just loved to perform. But it didn't start in like in her teens, in her 20s, and just trying it out. No, like this is a kid who literally was started on the stage and just loved doing that thing. And that's what I call Brittany Murphy's Law, where like this is just something that you've been doing since you were a kid, not so much like the not the performance or the acty part or the artsy part. No, that's not it. Like there's something just your natural habitat where you're just in that zone. That's 100% who you are, that form of energy. That like gravity is a law. Brittany Murphy's Law is that thing, where it's just like something that's a part of you and that just can't be contained in the content of your body.
Yeah. I've always just loved, and I realize it now with whether it's working on a project or working on an audition or being in class, like I love getting into like the mindset of a character. And you kind of I pull a little bit from myself, and then also a little bit of like who that character is. And it's fun. It's like playing dress up, It
is. It is like, no, there's no, of course, like what was your favorite character when you used to play house?
Probably the mom.
Everybody plays house. Everyone knows exactly what that is. Let's play house. And it's just like, A, B, C, and D.
What was yours?
Oh God. I was always the dog. I'm not making that up. I was always the dog. And if I was misbehaving, of course, mom, she's giving me that, like, just stop doing that, like doing this, not my mother, but the whoever we were playing house with.
That's so funny. That's great. I feel like
not making that up.
I don't think we had enough people each time to be the dog. We definitely did that occasionally. What? You got, where's the inclusivity? You didn't like, what kind of neighborhood did you have? Was the suburbs have a lot of kids or something like that? There's got kids on the block. Now I'm thinking about it. I do remember some people wanted to be the dog.
But you're like, no, that doesn't make sense. You can't be the dog.
You're a human. What are you doing? Be a human.
I guess I got lucky where everybody was like, yeah, you will definitely be the dog. You're definitely not dad. That's for sure.
That's so great. Oh my God. I see that with my nieces and nephews now. Like, children have the most amazing imaginations. And as creatives, like, it's cool that we can still tap into that. And when we're around our fellow creatives and we're doing that, like you don't feel weird at all, like you're with your people.
Yeah.
But I just love how when you're watching kids do it, it's just so normal, and natural. And they come up with like really good stuff too. I'm like, that was really good. Where'd you get that?
Did you ever want to, like, I don't know, if you ever seen it and get to a point where you actually like feel tempted to join in?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's happened to me. That's happened to me before, especially in my 20s when I was really in like actor mode where I just wanted to play everything.
Yeah. Yeah. They had me doing a concert the other day.
Please continue. How'd that go?
They had just gotten back from like a cruise, and so they learned all about Michael Jackson. So they were singing like his songs, but they were singing like the first couple of lines, and then the like do 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 do, they don't know the rest of it. So they jump out and be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, now watch," when they put on the voice, "Now watch our show." And then they're like, "Now it's your turn." And I think I did like do 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 do, and like popped out of like from behind like their staircase, and they just thought it was like the most funny thing like ever. And then I did like the no 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 came out. I don't think I knew the rest of the song either. And they're like, "Do you know Michael Jackson?" I was like, "Yes, I know Michael Jackson." And my nephew was like, "He died." And I was like,
"Oh no, what a buzzkill." Oh.
I know.
Good.
Okay, so my sister explained this to you.
Oh my God, it's like that kid from Kindergarten Cop where he's just like, everybody dies, Yo, come on. Underrated movie, but we don't have to talk about that. But oh my God, what a great movie. Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, so I really don't remember it, but I remember really enjoying it at the time.
Well, that's because we were in kindergarten.
True.
Of course. So I'm curious now. You've been acting since your youth. Commercials. Is that where it really kind of like you got bit by the bug, or did you have to experiment or experience like trying new things to be a little bit more quote unquote diverse?
I think I didn't really experiment on being more diverse until when I was living in LA, and then like getting different auditions, and some of them I was like, I am not this role. And my manager would be like, "Just go. Have you met this casting director yet?" I'd be like, "No." "Well, go." So I think that I need pushes sometimes because I definitely overthink. So it's good for me to like team up with people that'll be like, "Go, Caroline, go." And then that kind of helped me get into like, okay, I'm just going to like bring my version of this person, of this character into the room. I love playing like dark characters. Like
the Wicked Witch, or just darker than the Wicked Witch? Dark?
No, I mean, that's fun. I played in a children's pilot. I was like an alien like woman. And there was a big green screen behind me, and I definitely had to like and cackle and go all Nickelodeon on them.
Nice.
I feel like that's kind of the only role I've done that way, in that kind of genre. But I guess no, more like like an addict role, or just someone really like going through something and overcoming adversities. And I love drama, and I love like mysteries and figuring things out. I come off like very bubbly in real life, so I think like sometimes some people have been like, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I get it," when I like do the scene. But I love it all, kind of.
You kind of mentioned Nickelodeon momentarily, but I'm really curious how you felt about Harriet the Spy.
I loved Harriet the
I
Spy.
knew you were. God, I knew it. I hold. All right, so please go. Continue. We
I
haven't
was,
seen a good Harriet the Spy anything like that since Harriet the Spy.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Um, I liked the show, but I think I really enjoyed the movie.
Oh God, yes,
I was,
that was epic.
yeah, I was really excited when that came out. And I definitely like had spy moments then as when I was a kid, like figuring that stuff out. I loved Alex Mack too.
Oh my God, that's right. The science. She was the science experiment. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. She's an amazing actress, and her journey as an actor is really cool and interesting. She took a break and went to school, and then she also found that she like really missed acting. And I was listening to her on a podcast about how she hates auditioning, and it's like a thing that, you know, most actors hate auditioning.
Yeah,
It's
that's there's such a that I don't know. Stigma is probably not the right word, but it's actually called a rumor. And I'm just going to call it a flat out lie that we actually enjoy auditioning. You're going to hear actors who, you know, are more accomplished than some say, oh my God, I just love it. No, you don't. Give me it like, you liar. I'm sorry. No,
yeah,
you're not.
it's hard, but she put it perfectly in this podcast, and I was like, it made sense of like how I personally felt about auditioning. But it's like we're we're creatives are these sensitive people that are so like brave enough to be vulnerable and like share their inner workings with a room full of strangers. So you like walk in and you let your guard down, and at the same time it's this business where you need a thick skin. So it's this like double-edged sword where it's like it's one of the only, well, I don't know if it's the only business. I know there's different things in every, you know,
Industry, whatever.
career, yeah, but it's something where you have to like walk in and like shed your skin and be open and vulnerable, and then you have to have a thick skin about it. It's like, what? Okay.
There seems to be a conflict of no interest there.
Yeah.
And
It's personal, but it's not personal, you know? Like,
well, you can't take it personally, but it's just like,
right.
and but I've actually met an actress literally in like year one of conservatory, like in 2010. Didn't know her, but me and my scene partner Sean were literally at a Starbucks he works at, like in the neighborhood in Manhattan, and we're literally just doing intro to Meisner repetition, and it got to the point where she got infuriated and she snapped. And no idea, like she was an actress. And then all of a sudden I took advantage of the moment saying, I think we just made a discovery here. But she's like legitimately pissed, and I'm still in like, did we just like did something just happen that we don't understand? But no, she like really she went down. I just came from an audition, and she's tired of all the pretentious fucking bullshit, you know? And she did it in a very, very strategic, not even strategic, but a very meaningful, pedantic way where she actually meant what the fuck she was saying. And me, it kind of just bounced off my skull at the time because I'm still in like not listening mode. But like that never left me on, you know, how like, you know, some people just call bullshit. And I think we just know that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard thing to do. It really is. But it is easier when you realize it's not personal. Most of the time they have an idea of what and who they're looking for before you even walk in the room. My mom always reminds me of that because when she would take me to these auditions when I was younger, that was kind of explained to her for me because I'm a child, you know, I don't really understand. And she always reminds me, she's like, I'll never forget that. And she's like, she's like, I didn't want that for you. I didn't want that life for you. But she is the best and is like, I just want you to do what makes you happy. But yeah, it's a hard thing. But you got to just keep doing it because you love performing, and connecting with other people who love creating,
If I had to, I don't want to call absolute bullshit, I guess, on people who say they love auditioning, because like, it's probably not about the audition. It just might be an opportunity to just get a little exercise, and just get a moment of play where you could literally just honestly just take a moment. I have felt that with auditions, but not that I like the auditioning process, but right. I felt it more strongly working as a background actor. I did not in any way, shape, or form enjoy the background actor process. But when the camera started rolling and I got to just kind of make something up, that to me was a really good training exercise where I actually got to just, learn from it. And it was no longer about the background acting thing, I think that's what I really had to apply to auditioning as well, because the best advice I ever got with the creative mixer online, shout out Freddie and his LA troupe. They're awesome. Just like little words of advice from other actors who've been doing it for X amount of time, X amount of years, and all that good stuff. Like the acting, the process of auditioning, kind of sucks. So to your absolute point, if they already know exactly what it is they're looking for, don't make it about the role. Win the room was the word of advice they always gave to me. And that actually fucking worked, because I did. I applied for this gig sometime during the pandemic for an online reading of a play I really enjoyed called, it wasn't Found a Peanut. Oh, Crimes of the Heart. And I performed Doc in conservatory and as a scene study class, and it was really awesome. I love that show. And they were performing it live, and I had mentioned that I've done it before. The audition was definitely unanimously there, her words. However, I am, nothing personal, I'm too young, whereas her words. But she did actually follow up with me in 2021 throughout the pandemic for another project she was doing, and I got to read for Hamlet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Same, yeah. So don't make it about the role, and definitely thick skin, like you said. Don't take it personally, but do your part, have fun with it, but win the room. Do not make it about the role. Win the room.
100%. I'm just going, something that whenever I'm very, very nervous, my coach now terms it as character thoughts. And I kind of was doing this before. I just never really realized that term helped me even more. But he's like, just start thinking your character thoughts when you're nervous. Like, why am I here? Like, not for the audition. Obviously, you're there to audition, but like as the character, like, why am I here? What am I thinking? What do I want from this person? Who am I? Like, just those things. And that always grounds me and gets me in. Yeah.
So since we're talking about on the subject, I saw that you and I have a shared credit on IMDb, and it was Rock Story.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I saw you slapping the hell out of that fucking bass, and I'm like, wait, I play the bass. No, but I don't play the bass. Like, there's people who could play the bass. I just like to, kind of slap it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Now and then. But I'm really curious. Do you remember auditioning for that role?
I do. Yeah. I don't play the bass.
What? You're kidding me?
Nope. Don't play the bass. I learned for that role.
Whoa, come on. I see you on camera playing the bass. Like, all right, go ahead. I want, tell me more. Hold on.
When I get something, I like go all in on it. And I also I don't play the bass. So I I was more concerned about learning to play the bass than I was about my lines. And like after I learned all the things, I was like, oh yeah, lines. Like
With the bass.
but that actually was really cool. Like it was a cool process because I felt that helped me like get into the character more and understand her. Like she is so passionate about playing this bass. But yeah, I was in LA at the time, so I self-taped for it. Now it's always self-tapes, but at that time it was, it was a little of both. Um, and and I actually auditioned for a different role. And he got back to me, talk about winning the room. He was like, I don't remember if they had found someone, if they had already had someone in mind or what, but he saw my audition and was like, I really would love you to be in this. How do you feel about playing this character? And I was like, I don't play the bass. And he's like, it's okay. Like we'll cheat it. We'll figure it out, blah, blah, blah. And then the more conversations I had with him, we talked about how we really didn't like musicians when they watch something, they look at hand movements to see if that person is actually really playing. And I hate being called out on anything. So I was like, well, that's not going to happen. I'm going to learn the chords. So I contacted an old friend from high school who was always really into music, and he has his own music production company now. But I remember him always like sitting around jamming out on a guitar, and I was like, hey, like I'm flying in, like I'm going to be practicing this, but I'm flying in to shoot this film, and I'm coming a couple of days early. Will you sit with me and like help me do this? And he was so generous to do that for me. So I learned all the chords. The only thing I'm not playing is that like crazy intense, like that part. I'm just like tapping it, and they put in the sound. So I acted there.
Trick photography, man. Because I remember that scene. It was actually at the Paramount Theater in Middletown. It was the Gilbert Godfrey show, and it's like
I met him too on that show, and that talk about childhood stuff. Love. Oh, he was so sweet. And when he opened his mouth and he didn't speak the way he speaks in Aladdin
as Iago. I know it's like such a wait, what? Like, and he even spoke like that when he was doing movies like Problem Child.
Child. I was just gonna say, what's that other movie? Love that.
He played P-Brain.
Yes, and he doesn't speak like that in real life. He has the softest, sweetest, like most sincere voice. And I was shocked when I was like, hi. I was like, I'm really sorry to like bother you, but like I'm a huge fan.
It's oh god, you got to treat him like a neighbor.
I was little, and like, can I get a picture with you? And I usually don't do that. Like I've lived in LA, so I know not to bother people, but like I just
love that
really fangirled out on him.
Oh my god, oh my god, talk about the perks of good shit auditioning. You get to meet a childhood hero, Yeah. Because like you did a couple of takes of the finale at the Paramount, and I just remember like you specifically when you guys were choreographed and like rotating to the front of the stage and back of the stage. I'm like, shit, she could play the bass. I got gut. Oh damn.
Well, I mean, I did learn how to play the bass, but if you gave me a bass right now, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. I learned it for that time frame.
I haven't touched my bass in like 3 or 4 years, and I don't remember everything. And I was never good. I was really good at like muscle memory. Like I'm like when I close my eyes and I just feel it out, I could get in that space. But for some reason, doing it like meticulously, like with sheet music, I just there's like a language barrier there that I just can't like. I don't know. It's just kind of like a buffer when you're just waiting for like the Wi-Fi to just really kick on, and you just all of a sudden the screen kind of just pauses and does that loop thing. That's my brain every time I'm doing anything. I'm not making that up. It's true. That's why I always played the dog.
No.
Dogs don't have to, dogs don't have to like act on cue. They don't. So they're a dog.
They still have to perform in a sense, you know.
Well, at that part I got down. It was like the basics, I never pissed in the house, So I mean, it was pretty like, I was very well trained.
Wait, so can you read music?
I used to. I played the trumpet in intermediate school.
Wow.
Yeah, I always remember E was the first line, and that's where I always began. I always began on E. And I think I remember was two fingers of the trumpet, and then the F was one, and then G was open. I think, I don't know if it was C, which was the 1 and 3 finger, but I was, I think, second to last chair.
I played the flute in middle school, and I definitely was. I guess I'm really good at performing. Like my parents were like, you were so good. Like we could see you. And I definitely was like,
you do gotta learn somewhere, but it's almost like, honestly, I think it's almost like anything where you literally just have to learn full control of your instrument and just pay attention to what it is you're doing with the sounds you create. Same thing with your acting. Like,
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Because I think it is very instrumental. There's such a space where you are in full control, like as a person. But when you play the instrument, like you have the ability to tear it up, and you have so much more self-control and discipline that way.
Yeah, and a lot of self-trust too, especially for the scenes where like I know it's always very scary when you see in the script, and now she cries, or now his eyes fill up with tears, and everybody like wants to do that and get there. And it took a long time for me to like be able to like trust my instrument to do that. And it never comes out the way it's supposed to really in the script. It's always, although I guess like every now and then, but that's like the key and the beauty of it. It's like the character thoughts and trusting that it's going to be and come out like the way it's organic to you, versus like, and now on this word, I have to cry.
That's, I think, like once you get in your head and you're getting into anticipation and you are out of the moment, there's a lot of things about writing that can be very tough, especially if the writing just doesn't work, or the timing is wrong, or the stakes aren't high enough, and then the director has more work on his plate to get us to that point. It's a very weird process, but that's the type of work it takes to get to that point of actually just performing that one fucking line, out of maybe out of 1,000. But why do you think people act?
To express themselves. Yeah.
On
demand.
On demand.
Yeah, I think it's, acting's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it was our way of like, it used to all be enmeshed with like religion and politics. And then it was these stories. So they would get all of that. And I love like that component about it. Like that fascinates me, that it's this business or art form that's been around for as long as it's been around. So I think it's to tell stories and to get points across, and also to like, express themselves in a different way than they get to in everyday life. We don't always get to play an astronaut as maybe when we're kids playing pretend. But yeah, I think that's why. Why do you think?
Like when I did my first movie. Like me, I was the guy like being the storyteller. It was a spoof. Um, it was it was a biopic, and it was called The Time Being, and it's literally me and the camera kid Miles back in 2010, just driving around in the car and just having a conversation, and somehow some things happened that day that kind of created a story. And at the time, I came into college a little bit later than some, and some of the other students I was in theater class with were just like a hair younger than me, still a teenager, and I was the guy with the legitimate ID. So I made friends, but they all took, for the most of them, like all the classes at SUNY Orange they were limited, so everybody was taking the same classes. And after they had all done this filmmaking class, I got to watch all their work, and even got to help out, on a couple of their skits. And it just seemed like a lot of fun, and alcohol was not even part of the equation. It was just having fun. So I tried to do the exact same thing where I would just do it on my own, not for class. And it was, it was in the spring of 2010, and SUNY Orange was over the year before. So everybody was out pursuing their own things, and we always kept in touch. We still do. We called ourselves the Penguins. That was our theater troupe. So the Penguins, somehow we always tend to regroup. But I asked the exact same questions that they asked from the assignment the year before to every single person I was in conservatory with, even them for the most part. And it actually developed into something of a sort of a documentary about me. And, I was there in the first person, like doing the interview, but they definitely all, they were truly honest about their answers, and it shows in the camera. They didn't make shit up, but it was really interesting for me to just hear what they really had to say about me right in front of me, as if I weren't even in the room. And one person said something that I just, never forgot, because one question was, why does Phil do what he does? They all knew me well enough to have a really strong opinion. And one person, Heather, she was my first acting partner in an independent film from also that year before, because I never wanted to be an actor. I just kind of fell into it, and it was just kind of something, for me, it just, I don't know, it just seemed fun. So I kind of just stuck with it. But her answer, I hear it every day in my head. After I asked the question, she said, why does anybody want to be an actor, But I think it gives him something that you could only get from acting. So to ask your question, why do I do it? I don't know, because, I quit acting many times, like more times than, than I could, then I think, like, I must have legitimately quit like at least 4 or 5 times, but it's like, oh, a 6th time? How about a 7th? There were so many times where I quit, where it's not like, I never truly wanted this, like, especially the lifestyle. I never wanted to go through this type of a process just so I could pay the fucking rent on time. And that's what I hate about background acting, because I did it literally just so I could eat food. And I wish I was making that up, but it's true. I had such a decent career, before I got hurt, where, I could have retired 3 years from now with an annuity and a pension at 39 years old, and life starts at 40, and especially after my wife left, I felt so much shame and regret that being an actor was never worth it. It was never really what I ever wanted, but I somehow got pulled back into it once again, and the AFC is back. It's like, I don't know. I may not be the actors, we kind of looked up to growing up, like Godfrey, Harriet the Spy, or even Alec herself. I may never get that. And I'm sure they got into this not knowing they would become that, at least two people, like it's a mystery. But there's just something about being around it that I can't explain, you ever see Rocky 2 and he's at a point having a conversation with Mick where like he's going blind, that, it's too risky for you. You should not be doing this anymore. And, he even said, all right, if I can't fight, then I'll at least mop up the floors. And he said, like, honestly, and he meant it, like, he has to be around it.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but for me,
I get it.
it's kind of like just honestly, like where I finally just in my life, where I just finally fit in.
Totally. I mean, you gave me chills sharing
I'm
it.
sorry, like it was a long answer. It's just like, like my mom did it,
No,
my dad did it, so we all do it. It's just one of those things.
yeah.
Nobody in my family does this.
Yeah. My brother gave it a go. He wrote, directed, produced, and acted in his first feature. And he spent a good chunk of time on it. And then after that, he was like, I'm done. And he kind of just knew from doing that, that it wasn't for him. And we've talked a bit about that with, he sees what I'm doing with white noise. And, he admitted that he thought, he was going to do it and it was going to be like this one hit wonder and it was going to catapult him. And he recognizes that that's incredibly rare for anyone, especially today. But it just doesn't work that way like anymore. And it just was very rare if it ever did. But he sees like what I'm doing with white noise and how there's so much legwork, like after you're done, like submitting it to all these festivals. And it's a lot of like grinding and putting in the work. And, when you're not auditioning and you have like a gap, it's an opportunity to like, get creative and put yourself out there. And that's where we can control, because we feel so out of control as actors. That's where we can take the control and write something or even just shoot something with our friends to get ourselves out there. But it's just this thing that you have to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And then eventually something does hit if you do keep putting in the work. But I said to him, I was like, you have to love it. Like you have to, going back to that feeling that you get, that that pull and that thing that you get, really, you can only really get from acting that you speak of. That's the fuel that has to kind of keep you going. Otherwise you'll die, your soul.
Your
artistic soul.
That's exactly how I feel, and it's why I got sucked back into it, and definitely denied it. But I got to ask an honest question. Did you ever play house more than once?
More than once? Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, why can't acting be the exact same thing? Only we're just building a different house.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I think you hit a good point. It's just like, you make it up as your own. Like we all live in a legitimate house, like especially as kids. Like, but when we play house, it's a completely different atmosphere. But it's not like you were getting paid to do it, but it was just something, you had to do and you actually enjoyed doing it. And yeah, as adults, money's kind of essential. And it sucks that you don't get to go out and play as much as you did. But to your point, you started actually making your own things.
Yep. I highly recommend that for everyone to do. It's very fulfilling. And it's an opportunity for you to kind of like, take control and shoot something that you're not going out for, like a type of character that you're not being seen as. It's your opportunity to be like, well, let me show you,
Yeah. You discover a lot of things about yourself through the character.
Oh, 100%. They're everything.
Yeah. Like everybody's so different. And when there's a sort of context, such as playing house, the interpretation is, it's your own. But then there's things about that character that bring something out of you that you did not know existed.
Yeah. Zendaya performed at Coachella. And I guess I actually never knew she was involved in music. I didn't know she sang, but I guess she used to, and she took like a 7-year break to focus more on acting. But she said something in this article where she said, acting is an opportunity for me to like work myself out and like whatever I'm going through in a private way through characters. And it helps me like, learn more about me and work all that stuff out. And she said music is a little more like, okay, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why she took a break. And I was just like, oh, I'm so glad she shared that because that was so beautifully put. It was also
true.
Yeah.
It was true.
Yeah. I think she's an inspiring person for the younger generations today. She seems like she's really about the work versus.
There's probably so much about this young lady that we will like, unless you do this one-on-one where that you just don't really know somebody. Like they say you don't know somebody unless you walk in their shoes. But I mean, when do you actually ever walk in somebody else's shoes? So is there like a second thing, option B? Well, you can start by listening, and just allow them to just like, be vulnerable if that's the right term, but how about just share? Can you do that? Start like keep it simple.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm sure, like after her success, I hate that word. Success is such a, I don't know. I think it's just like I think it's a ridiculous word. I like the word accomplishment instead. And, when it comes to accomplishments, especially as an actress, when you actually, or actor, when you actually do things that, is your takeaway, it's definitely not something that, have to pronounce, because you carry that with you for your next big thing. The first time I ever caught myself saying, I can't wait to succeed, I was literally like 14 years old. And for the first time in my life, I was on a yacht. I remember that. It's just like, I can't wait to succeed because I was on a fucking yacht. And, it's kind of, I kind of feel like success, or the idea of it, like that's sort of like the character you create in reality so nobody knows who you are. That's just, hey, that's my take. I could be full of shit. Success is real, I guess, but like not when you really break it down, like an actor would break shit down. Like, so yeah, there's depth from a different perspective. And hey, if those roots don't go down, then the tree's not going to stand. Just saying.
Yeah, I think today with social media, like everybody's sharing their highlight reels. And so you don't really know like who is actually happy. So I think it's just like a good reminder to just, I like what you said about accomplishments. Like, someone that looks successful could be struggling in so many other ways. There's 7 different like components to like being a human. And there's no way for someone to like be completely fulfilled in like everything. You always have to work on something. So
sure.
It's always a good thing to think about. Obviously, money makes things easier, but
Kind of. For a brief for a week. That's it. But trust me, Friday's coming. Like that's another thing from experience. Oh God. But no, you're not wrong. Money is definitely the answer to all things. I think like if you need something and if you got money, okay, check. But you always either want or need something else. And if, and then it gets, adult life. You gotta use money for what it is. It's a tool, and if you overwork it and you don't got enough as a supply, you're kind of like raising your your own personal tide, and the shore is actually going further and further out. But when the tide comes back in, it's just going to wash all that away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you need money to make a good movie, and got that. Let's start. But I'm really curious. Like I definitely want to talk about White Noise. But what was it about Alec that did she say anything that made you want to it resonated when she said how she or why she came back? Because the last thing I remember her is like, of course, oh my God, it's the girl from Nickelodeon. I love this girl. I can't wait to watch this movie. That movie was 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I haven't seen her since. And I'm like, maybe she's a real mom in real life now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even forgot she was in that. Because she's taken breaks like most actors have, like from the industry too. But yeah, loved her in that. I thought it was cool to see her because she was like the sweet Alex Mack that I'm sure you had a crush on her.
I mean, no,
all my guy friends.
I did like her, but I like the older sister more.
Welcome to Happy Corner. This project strives to make safe housing areas for stray cats at an affordable price. It's so easy to put together that even your children could have fun making one. Help keep cats and other animals safe with their own little Happy Corner homes. You can help this project become a reality by donating to the GoFundMe page. Happy Corner homes are a great way to show those animals in need it's okay to be happy.
Oh, wait. In 10 Things I Hate About You or Alex Mack?
Alex Mack.
Oh, I don't
Yeah. No, but when 10 Things I Hate About You, it's just like, I think it was still in the 8th grade when that came out, or 9th grade, and I wasn't allowed to have a crush on girls. So I was like, fine. Or at least not let anybody else know that I did.
Right. Well, I thought it was cool to see her as a little more of like this bitchy character that's like, like all about me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. Like that kind of like gave me like an insight at like, oh, you can play different things, So that and then Heath Ledger was introduced in that movie, and that was he's
Can't take my eyes off of you.
Oh yeah. I love the poem scene too that she reads in front of the whole class, where she's like, I hate the way you do this, and I hate the way you do that. I hate the way you something, you even something.
And then she cries, and then he's like, oh, sorry.
I love that scene. That's such a good scene.
It was cute. And it's like, well, she was kind of uptight. And it's just like, well, yeah, if she has to wear the mom hat because mom's not around anymore, she's going to be a little uptight.
Mm-hmm.
A real bitch in the relationship, not the high school tramp.
Yeah, that's interesting. I need to watch that again because you get something different out of it when you're older. But yeah, that's kind of true to life. If the mom's not around, that's good. That's great writing.
It's good. It's not rocket science. Like it's so, common, like mom is essential. Like that's pretty, like there's no, like, it's unquestionable, it's really like, it's like how does how do bears actually survive? Well, if it weren't for their mothers, they wouldn't.
Yeah. But I love how that's her flaw, and they explain it, but don't explain it, you know? Like, it's not like she's just a bitch, like, or she's just uptight. Like, she is this way because of this thing, which is then her like journey as her character. It's her arc.
Have you ever watched the movie Finding Neverland?
Finding Neverland.
That was with Johnny Depp and I believe it was Kate Winslet. I always mix her name up. I know their faces are different, but Kate Watson, Kate, whatever, like just Kate from Titanic.
Yeah. No, I never seen it.
Oh, fun movie, dude.
Yeah.
Basically the story is about like Johnny Depp. He played the man who wrote about 100 years ago or so from Scotland, the guy who wrote the play Peter Pan. So the story in Finding Neverland is like literally like what inspired him for the most part, literally to just, you know, like to just like write a really cool story like that, you know, because everything was just sort of like dry plays up until that point of life, yada yada. But he made contact with Kate from Titanic's kids in the park while he was playing, or just, you know, doing his writer thing out in the park, writing with his dog. And then, you know, he accidentally steps on a kid's sleeve, and the next thing you know, he befriends the entire freaking family. The boy, I believe that was I think his name is actually Peter. He was so devastated. One of four boys, one of three boys, that, you know, their dad was, you know, taken too early, and then mom had to step it up. So he kind of befriended the family, kind of became this father figure. But he really was working with Peter on play. And, you know, that's what he comes from. He's all about writing plays and just, you know, not playing. They didn't play house, but they did play cowboys and Indians. And then eventually they did play pirates. So he was really starting to break down this kid's wall to the point where he actually wrote his own play. And it was one thing that he said to get Peter to that point, you know, that, you know, something that you said reminded me of that was just, it was literally just the word just, J-U-S-T. And it was used in a context where he's like in the park. I don't know why everybody's finding this so entertaining. It's just a dog. But meanwhile, he's trying to, like, Johnny Depp, like, he's actually trying, like, to really get through to these kids that, you know, he's in the circus and he's dancing with a massive bear. And he's really trying to just engage the kid's imagination. And he walks right up to the kid in his nice, loving way, like a good neighbor, where he's like, oh, that's not a loaf of bread. That's just a rock. And then he just says, just. So a word like that, word just, really, as far as perception goes, it really does. You know, I hate that word, equally to success. I do. Just bleh, bullshit. Just is bullshit. No, it is just, you know, fuck you, just. It's bullshit. It's literally acknowledging that even though your logic could be accurate, but why does it have to be? And I think that's where you literally have to, like, take things for what they are here in reality, even though he's more of a realist and, you know, a lot of walls were up, you know, he was drowning in his own, you know, in his own castle in the pouring rain. You know, there was not one opening of this kid, and it just caused him to break down and cry, you know? So what you were saying is like, they're this way. They're not just a bitch, you know, there's more there, you know? Then like that's in every single thing. It might seem cliche, but there's so much more to the story, where you actually literally have to, I think, empathy is essential, I think, you know, where you actually have to, like, try to be on the understanding part of it. And I think Johnny Depp fully understood, and honestly, his performance was magnificent. If you haven't seen it, like, it was so much better than people probably realize, Finding Neverland. And it was so well received. It was so well talked about. And I think it was back in 2009, 10, 11, like right around that time.
I'm trying to remember if I've seen it. Maybe just bits and pieces, because I'm getting like a vision of it now that you talk about it. But if not, I will definitely add that to my list.
Everybody out there listening, add that to your list.
Yeah.
Well, because you'll learn something, and it's like there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that make up you, but you gotta especially in this, I think you gotta actually pay attention to the things that are going on. And as a creator, and I know you mentioned good writing, hey, congratulations, you are an Astor nominated, very good performance. And I'm really curious as to White Noise. What's that story about?
So I had my spine fused in 2017. And I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 15. And at the time, it was a 32-degree curve. So the doctor said, you can brace and, you're still growing and see what happens. Or we could do surgery. The thought of surgery just terrified me. And I was really into dance and cheerleader. I was a competitive cheerleader at the time. And I just was terrified of not being flexible enough. So we braced. I wore that for up until I was 18, and it kept the curve at 32. And so he said, you don't need the brace anymore and go about your life. And then I moved out to California, and I was, late nights on sets, early mornings, cocktail serving to pay the bill. So also like late nights, and then waking up to, hustle and go to auditions. And I think the hustle just like caught up with me. And all of a sudden I was having like really bad back pain and really bad headaches. And it turned out my curve crept up to about, I think it was at like 48 degrees, close to 50. And I was, again, still terrified of having surgery. So I saw all kinds of different doctors, definitely like Western, Eastern, and the more holistic doctors kind of were like, well, like, let's look at like everything you've been through in life and your trauma and blah, 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 blah. And I love all that stuff. And I think it's like very healthy for us all to do like throughout our lives, to like, dig down into our insecurities. But it kind of got in my way, and I was like, oh my God, am I doing this to myself? Or am I actually like really needing help? And my parents were like, Caroline, you need to have surgery. Like, you need to see like a doctor, a surgeon. And so they made me come out to New York, and I met with a surgeon there who really made me feel, I actually had seen a couple surgeons when I was in LA, and they were, I don't know, they just didn't make me feel safe. And they were saying that my curve was even worse than it was. And
Ooh.
so, yeah. And so it was just scary. And so I needed my parents. So I flew back to New York and and decided to have my surgery there. And it was nice to be back around my family again. And so now I'm fused from T2 to T12, and I'm very active and in so I think we all have back pain today.
Are you kidding? Yeah.
With
Bro,
computers and our cell phones and sitting, and
if you're sitting all day, that's it. You're like, you're kind of like you're putting yourself into the red.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I still have some aches and pains, but otherwise I'm very, very, very happy I did it. In fact, I'm like, oh, I should have done it sooner, but whatever. So
yeah.
Hindsight is 2020. Someone always tells me.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I started blogging after my surgery and blogging, and my surgeon thought it was like the best, and they were doing some PR for the hospital at the time. So they asked me if I'd be willing to talk to their PR person. And so I ended up in a New York Post article, and I kept vlogging and blogging about it. And then I kind of was just like, I'm like done. Like, I think I'm ready to like do something creative with it. And so like one day I went to a coffee shop and I just like vomited like all of this stuff out. And it was definitely more like, experimental, because I wanted it to feel like how I was feeling. So that's kind of like, it still was in this, it made it to the finishing script, and then I shot it. But the beginning sequence to like where I'm running around from doctor to doctor to doctor, that's like a snapshot. That beginning sequence is a snapshot of how I felt and how I was being pulled in these different directions. The rest was like, I feel like I'm drowning and I'm underwater and like I'm in a psych ward and I can't get out and nobody's listening to me and blah, 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 blah. And so I still would love to do like an experimental type of film someday, because there's definitely, as I'm going through all the festivals, seeing that there's categories for that too. But I connected with San Martin, who's the director, and actually,
Not Sean, right?
huh?
Not Sean.
No, Sean's Sean's plays the dad in the film, yeah.
It was corrected. Yeah, it's just like, oh, by the way.
No, but I think when I connected with him, it had a full narrative script then, but we just like throughout the pandemic we like went back and forth, and we were trying to whittle it down, because I think at the time it was like 25 minutes, and so we wanted to get it under 15. So yeah, we just kind of we would jump on a call and he would give me notes, and then I'd go back and write them up and make the changes we talked about, and he'd give me some more notes, and then we ended up filming it. And so it's all based on my health journey that I went through. Because I'm super passionate about like health care and health and the mind body connections, and I think it's all fascinating. So yeah.
Well, I mean, to the holistic part where it's just like, I know, like when you said like, you know, past trauma to see if like maybe there's a memory locked in your spine, that's legitimate, you know, like that's spooky. I remember when like I was going through like some severe back pain where I finally went to a chiropractor. Like he like so many memories popped right back into my head the second it went back into alignment, you know. It was like spinal constipation that just came. We got it out.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like it's like your spine and your brain are one and the same, you know.
100%. It's your nervous system. Like, I can feel stuff to like scoliosis takes place in your nerves. So like, even though I'm fused and I have 2 rods on either side of my spine now, I still have scoliosis because the nerves are still trying to pull it a certain way. And so I have to do like certain exercises to kind of keep the muscles in place, because the muscles aren't being held by the spine. Our bodies are fascinating.
Did you feel any of that while you were cheerleading?
No, I didn't really. I think that's another testament to the best thing for us to do is be active. I mean, after like when I was in the hospital, the next day, my physical therapist came to my bedside and she's like, okay, so we're going to sit up and you're going to stand. And I was like, I think you have the wrong bed. Like I just had my spine rearranged. And she's like, no, like I have you're Caroline, like, we're going to get you up. And I was like, so I sat up and I looked at her and I go, if I move one more inch, I'm going to throw up all over you. Cause I didn't react to the pain medication well. She's like, okay, we'll revisit this tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Take a break. See you tomorrow.
But I was walking by day 3, and out of the hospital on end of day 6. Yeah. But in the past, they had you in a body cast for like 2 or 3 weeks. Oof. And now they find that the best thing for you to do is get you up and moving right away.
Damn.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Whoa. Well, I mean, yeah, stillness. If there's like pain and like what I did notice is like when I started like my avoid surgery journey this past like year and a half, 2 years. A good example is like, I finally was able to just like get the courage to just go back to the gym and not worry if my back gets thrown out and just like see what I'm capable of. And like I remember this one time, like I had this weird bubble or something like in my knee that was just really bothering me. And so literally that was like we did not avoid it. We did legs that day instead. And the next day, if it was just the muscle or the spasms or the pain, just saying it was literally like a point of like, if that's where the pain is, then that's what we're attacking. And it was nothing like, it was nothing ridiculous. It was literally like walking backwards, pulling a sled and just, getting whatever was in my knee, just some movement and engaging all the muscles around it. Next day, I was fine. Sore, sure, but no, movement is essential. If you're still, I think pain is actually, it's interesting. It's actually how do I say this? It's just literally a signal saying move this. But we consciously kind of just do the complete opposite,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you need your rest and you got to heal. You don't want to like, you don't want to tear anything. And that does suck. It hurts. It sucks. But like, I only ask, I like, this is weird. It's really just a question, like, because I'm really curious because, the body is weird. The cheerleading, if you didn't actually feel the pain, previously to sort of like the diagnosis, I'm just curious, like, did you ever wonder if maybe your body is telling you on how to just like bring optimum joy to your life? And that's just its way of trying to communicate to the brain that you're consciously aware of, that maybe doing something similar to cheerleading would actually just, I don't know, give you that endorphin kick where you could actually feel happy because, your body's literally looking out for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have flare-ups in my back when I'm stressed or when I'm doing too much, and then don't feel pain when I'm around the people that I want to be around and I'm doing the things I love. In high school, when I was diagnosed, I did actually feel a shift happen. And it was during a time in my life where I was going through a lot, which I used to bring up to my parents. I'm like, I did it to myself. And they're like, you didn't do it to yourself. It was this constant argument with them. Yeah, it was, that's why, like, they're like, what are you? They were so frustrated with me because I was like, it's because of this. And they're like, no, it's not. And they were like, you need to get over that thing that happened.
No, that's horrible. Like, okay, now we know. All right, continue. It's just like that. Great job, Mom. Great job, Dad.
No. Trust me, my parents are awesome. I mean, my mom is like very nurturing and caring. And my dad is this type of person that's like, get up, Caroline, like, you got to keep moving. So like, they're a good balance, honestly. Because when I moved back from California and I was in like the worst like place of my life, I was sobbing hysterically on their kitchen floor. And my dad came in and was like, get up, like, Caroline, like, you still have like your life ahead of you. Like, get up, we're going to fix this. And I'll never forget that, because it was what I needed to hear in that moment, actually. But yeah, I mean, we all go through different things. And I think it's important to kind of look at how it affects your mental health, and it does stay with us subconsciously. And how can we like dig a little deeper to like get rid of those like scars and mind blocks that happen. And then I think it's also like, sometimes our bodies do weird things and we can't always figure it out. Sometimes there's no answer. Like, you have a cold and it's just a cold. So it's not this, weird like thing. So, yeah, it's a balance. Life is such a balance. Medicine is such a balance. I love the balance of Eastern and Western. Of how Eastern looks at the entire body, and Western is a little more like, okay, well, your knee is like in pain, you need knee surgery. Like, the Eastern looks like, well, maybe it's, blah, blah, blah. So I think Eastern comes a little more into play with healing. Like, it's good for you to do Western and then Eastern for, your therapy, like your physical therapy and stuff like that. That's what worked for me. A lot of like acupuncture and diet and therapy for here and here.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do. I like acupressure myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't do it enough, but yes, it's great.
I mean, well, it ain't cheap.
Yeah, no, I know. None of that is cheap.
Yeah. It's so essential, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. We got to take care of our instrument.
Yeah. It's a curious thing though, like, you ever have to, when did you like, you played the flute?
No, not really. I mean, I couldn't grasp. I still sing. I was a great singer. I trained a lot when I was younger. But I just couldn't, maybe it was like a block where I just didn't want to learn it. But I couldn't read music. Like, I just couldn't grasp that this A on this line is that sound. I just couldn't.
My exact same problem. I know. No, I get it. And we're just like, you know what? Fuck this trumpet. I'm gonna play football. Ha.
Yeah.
No lines there. It's all improv.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad really wanted, because I sang, my dad really was like, you should learn the piano, or you learn the guitar. And I dabbled with lessons in each of them, but even as a kid, I like a lot of things. So I was like, now I kind of want to do horseback riding. So,
well, honestly, that is it's a lot of fun. I find it very therapeutic. And honestly, it's always that tiny little muscle group that you're kind of working out, just bouncing yourself on a Mustang.
Yeah.
Literally strengthens your back. And of course you feel elongated, you feel nice and tall. And it's just like, yeah, I'm riding this guy.
Yeah, you're making me feel tall now just thinking about it.
I mean, first time on a horse is a little bit weird, because you're literally taller than you've ever been, and you're actually faster than you've ever been. But then the next thing you know, that goes away so quick, and it's like it's very mysterious, like if you could play the drums, you could ride a horse, because there's such a very like just slight hits of the gas. Horses are so sensitive. I was riding, dude, and I had this horrible itch in my helmet and I couldn't get it. So I thought maybe if I just slap it, it would go away. It went away, but I hit my helmet so hard. The horse, it scared the shit out of my horse. They didn't move, but I felt him I literally felt him the moment it happened, like not even faster than a blink of an eye. Before I even felt relief, or even by the time I could even take my hand off, he shook completely, and right down to his hooves.
Wow.
That's how in tune they are with their bodies, and they're going to respond to every single micrometer of what it is that you do. And as an actor, you got it. I mean, if you could control every little, like if you could have absolute control, it's actually, I think it's actually an excellent exercise for, acting training, because you could control every inch of your body.
Yeah. So something about that, I actually, when I was studying in London, my friend and I decided to take a train to, I don't remember the name of the town, but it was like an hour, just under an hour train ride outside of London. And we went horseback riding, and we had a guide, and everything was calm. And then for some reason, my friend's horse got spooked and bucked, like the front legs went up. She went flying off. It spooked my horse, and my horse took off, galloping and galloping and galloping.
Oh no.
For like miles. And I was just like, okay, like I first was trying to take control, but you're like a fly on their back at that point. Like there's nothing you can do. So I had to just like jockey up and ride. And this tree branch is low and coming right here. And I just had this flash in my head, and I was like, oh my God, Christopher Reeves. Like that's all I thought. And I literally was like, I'm about to die. Like this is how I go. Like this is gonna happen. And so I tucked really close to the horse's neck. It was just my instinct, because I don't think they're trying to hit their head. And it grazed the top of my helmet. And I just kept riding and riding and riding. And then he eventually stopped. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. So I'm trying to turn him around, because now like there's mud like that, like I'd say like that thick. So I couldn't really get down in it. And so I'm trying to turn him around, and I'm like, I don't even know where I am. So I'm like, okay, I'll just ride him back in the direction we came. And then I shit you not, I hear a rustling out of the bushes, and that freaking horse that spooked us, followed us, pokes his head out of the bushes, scares him again, and he takes off again. And I was like, I'm like, oh my God, like I should have gotten off the horse. And so I'm just riding and riding, riding again. And then eventually he stops. And then I was like, I'm not getting into this dilemma again. I will take my shot with the mud. And I jumped down.
Oof.
And this woman was, had a farm like right there on the other side of the trail. And she goes, oh my God, I don't know how you even like stuck on that horse. And I was like, I don't know either. She's like, I'm so impressed. She's like, you don't know how many people fall off these horses. And I was like, wait, what? So she explained to me that like she's seen so many trail riders get bucked off of these horses, and she's impressed that I even like stuck on. And I was like, yeah, no, I am walking this horse. There's something going on with these horses. And hi, nice to meet you, guy, but like not riding you again.
Would you have magnets in your spurs?
No, I think, you know what it was? I literally think I just focused on staying alive. Like I literally was just like, if I do the right thing and I just focus, it'll stop eventually. And so just focus on keeping still and safe, and eventually this will be over. And I just prayed a lot.
When that horse decides to stop, you don't know it. But at full speed, I can't imagine. Wow.
Yeah. Like now I'm kind of a little scared of horses now. I've ridden since then, but like that definitely made me think like they're animals and they're going to do what they want to do. And
I wish you didn't say that. No, I wish you didn't say that because I read a quote this morning prior to the podcast, Carl Jung or Carl Jung. I'm like, well, fuck you and your name. He's been quoted. Where your fear lies is where your next task is. Sorry, just kind of, and I don't remember shit. I don't remember.
Say I need to get on a horse.
I don't know.
I mean, I've been on since then, but I will say, like,
were you really on the horse?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sure you were riding and on the horse, but were you actually present with the horse?
Yeah, I was.
Were you there?
I definitely was like, okay, I'm scared right now. And if I'm scared, he's going to feel it. So take a deep breath and enjoy the ride. And so I did get there, but it was something I kind of had to get over. That was terrifying. Okay.
Oh, I mean, it's like, what was it? It Takes Two, the horseback riding scene.
I don't know it.
It was Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. There's no way I've seen this and you haven't. Come on. No, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, they were younger, as we all know, because we were younger. But there was a movie called It Takes Two, and one was a foster kid, one was a rich kid, one was a piano player, one was a street stickball player.
Yeah.
There was a horse scene, and of course, like those horses, when they get spooked, they fucking run.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Funny enough, I was talking about their movies the other day and how
I just found mine on VHS.
Oh, they're the best. The Halloween and the Christmas one.
Yep. Oh, come on. I don't know how many movies I've watched, but it makes sense why I am here today. It's like I've seen a lot. I haven't seen them all. And so many people I've met have watched movies I have never heard of. But there's this thing called Color Box, and I look at it and I got 6,000 movies that I have seen, and I didn't fill out the whole thing. So over 30 years of watching movies, yeah, I'm sure there's probably a million movies that were ever made. There's like so much more than you'll ever know.
Yeah, I know.
Which is really cool, because a lot of it is interesting. It's like it's a reflection of who you are and your ideas, and your ideas are a dime a dozen, and there's 7 billion of us on the planet. And there's been 100 billion people that have ever been alive, ideally, which could be true. And I'm pretty sure horses, they get ideas too. So there's a lot of imagination out there. You just got to tap into it.
100%.
But I'm not watching any fucking scary movies. My answer is no. It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
My boyfriend makes me watch them. So
I think that honestly, that's called domestic violence. I mean, you're in a toxic relationship right now.
No, he's a horror film writer. That's his genre. So in a sense, I'm doing it to understand his world a little better.
He's bringing you into his world. All right, this is toxic. Come on. All right. It's just like, I have scoliosis and trauma is a real thing. Excuse me.
I feel like horror is like something that I kind of do actually a little, you kind of enjoy it. It's a little bit of the fun of the spook is the adrenaline rush, and you're kind of like, oh, that was kind of funny, but does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could definitely as a potential filmmaker creator appreciate the process of of making a horror movie, especially how complicated it can really get, and to pull it off. And you got to get a little scientific sometimes and creative, but somehow it works. And it can, but when you spoke about genre, I got triggered because yes, I'm right there with you, but it really bothers me that comedy and musicals or whatever are in the same category, but completely different genres, like for the Oscars, for example. And I'm saying to myself, why the fuck isn't comedy and horror in the exact same genre? They're exactly alike. People love it. Musicals, they're actually singing, unrelated to comedy.
Well, I can understand it because comedy is rhythmic and musicals are rhythmic. And I would say horror is more dramatic and so it's like I could see how horror falls into drama and comedy would fall into musical.
All right, we're gonna cross the streams. Drama and horror are now a shared category. Best drama, best comedy, best picture. You know, they got to sprout more awards. You know.
Yeah, they do.
But what's your next step with White Noise? And you know, I am curious. How come you didn't call it? Why didn't you name it after yourself? Why'd you call it White Noise?
I called it White Noise because I wanted it to. It's more the flashes that are in the film were really important to me, and I think like the figuring out like is it me or is it my body, and also the opinions of other people and our minds rushing to past stuff. You know, when I'm in the room and I look at like my yearbook and I see that note from someone, like I wanted it to kind of talk about the noise that we experience like throughout our day. So I know there's so many films called White Noise, but I was just like, no, I really want it to stay with that. So yeah, that's why it's called White Noise.
Could you make it plural?
White noises?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I'm sorry. I can't. No, I just because I did. I looked it up. I'm trying to get like see some like backstory, and of course, when I look up you, I find White Noise at the top of the list, and it's just like, got it, found it. When I put in White Noise, it's just like there's a lot of white noise out there. There really is. But I didn't see white noises yet, and then again, I didn't really look.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have had this conversation.
My bad. I wasn't your EP at the time.
I would have totally been like, yeah, I like white noises. It's different.
All right, here, folks. The feature. All right, so now you got the short version. But no, I mean, honestly, since I didn't see any cheerleading in the movie, did you ever like maybe hope to actually like, where did it all begin? Like, what was the before, the little bit of a backstory and that moment when it actually brought you to the surgical procedure, but all that dash period in between, did you ever want to go into a feature?
No, I don't think so. I kind of want to just have it as a short and then just start working on my next projects. Like I have I already started working on a documentary, and yeah, collaborating with different people. I have some ideas in the works, and right now I have to kind of finish, it's a lot. So I have to kind of finish, going through the festival circuit with White Noise and starting with the documentary. But, I think White Noise is its own thing, and then I'm sure like ideas and things that I had for it that I didn't get to use in it, I know I'll be able to like put into something else, maybe even another scoliosis type of film. Yeah.
Is the documentary more about like scoliosis?
No, it's about my grandfather. He was general manager of the New York Knicks, and he
shut the front door.
Yeah.
No way. No, he probably knew my great grandmother's cousin, who was an investor in the original Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow. Well, probably not. I mean, he's not alive, so I wouldn't be able to ask him, but he started with St. Bonaventure, and then he went to the Knicks, and he created the team that won the winning championship.
Let's go.
Yeah, so they haven't won since then, although they're in the playoffs now. I don't really follow. I just hear.
Very few do. It's just like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every year. And I'm just like, it's just back and forth, like down and back, down and back. I get kind of dizzy. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Horses, let's try that. Not much different, but it's a little bit more linear.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm starting to kind of like collect information. I'm going to interview a lot of my family members, like my mom's siblings, and we're going to eventually like try and get some other people involved. But I think he has like an amazing story because he grew up in Elizabeth and he came from a very poor household, and he then he was the first in his family to go to college, and he only went to college because he served in the war. And then he met my grandmother, and I just think he has this really cool journey where serving in the war connected him to my grandmother, whom he never would have met. And then he was working as a park ranger, and he ran into someone at St. Bonaventure's who he knew from when he was in school, and they were like, we're looking for a coach. So he was like, oh, okay. So he got the job as coach at St. Bona's, and then he like won a bunch of their championships for them, and then the Knicks recruited him. And I just think he just honestly, it was just like him focusing on his love of the game, and also like my mom said he never dreamed that he would have been where he ended, starting from where he was from. So I just think it's a really cool story to tell, and I think it would be really inspiring for people to.
Ooh. No, I mean, like, I'm curious because I never knew that the New York Knicks ever won a championship.
72 and 73.
Back to back?
Mm-hmm.
No way. 2 years running?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
I have to look this up. But then, yeah.
Dad was 12. Like,
mm-hmm.
I can't, it's just like, you got to be kidding me. It's been 50 years?
Mm-hmm. They had their 50th anniversary.
Wow, dude.
Yep.
That's incredible. Like, so, like, there's no doubt about it that without good coaching, there's there'll never be consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. Some of the best players in the world could be on the same team, but it may not impact victory. And even back in 72, 73, I forget when it was, but you saw the movie Miracle, the hockey game.
Mm-mm.
All right, on your list. So that's a true story about a bunch of college kids that outperformed the NFL All-Stars against the Russian team and won the gold in the Olympics back in the 70s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it did. It really came down to good coaching. It was 100% about good coaching. And I remember I had the best coach in my life. His name was Coach Garuli. He didn't have a single kid on the team, but he was our coach, and he had without him, we never would have won first place our year playing baseball. And he was just so and I never forget him. Anybody's dad definitely was capable of being a coach, but there was something about this guy. We were undefeated, and we shouldn't have been. Not really. We were all kids. Like every kid, it was all fair game, but it was all in the coaching. 100, undoubtedly, we should have lost like at least half of our games, like everybody else. But no, we were that good. No, we weren't that good. We just had an outstanding coach, and we listened to him.
Mm-hmm.
We did.
Yeah, management and coaching is very important.
It is an absolute reflection of the performance of whatever it is. They're honestly, they're the blame. Which is honestly, like, no offense, but it's probably why I got fired from every job I've ever had in my life. Bad coaching.
That's fair.
Yeah, you're making me look bad. Cut. Fuck you.
No, that is fair. I agree.
Oh, I was hitting home runs. You don't bench your player when he's hitting home runs. Like, what the fuck? No,
Yeah.
I wasn't a bad worker. Like, my performances were fine. It was just like, nah, he's a liability. I'm not jaded, but I just prefer to be my own boss now. And now I dare brave to do it.
Yeah, that's great. That is also inspiring.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure a lot of people listening will agree with that.
Oh,
You should be
yeah.
very proud.
Say again.
You should be very proud.
I have a problem with that. You know, you're 100% right. I should be. I don't. I really don't. I don't know how to just kind of like just. Is it enough? Like, do I got more? You know, I'm always on that like cusp. Do I got more? And yeah, I actually had to take a time out a little bit ago because putting on the festival was exhausting.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, dude, it was I could it was so challenging for me, even at the award ceremony, to just sort of like transition into master of ceremony ceremony guy after putting like the wedding plan together and then be the guy that gets married. You know, like that type of like transition of a flip of a switch. I had a hard, like, it was really hard for me to just even go get a haircut down the street and just kind of wind down and settle. Couldn't, like, I just like, I was wound so tight, you know? And few weeks go by, you get a couple of tags on Instagram, like get a couple nice reviews on Film Freeway where I literally could take it all in for just a moment and just sort of like be proud of the process. But it just didn't seem like I was ready enough, could have done enough. It wasn't exactly the way I wanted it to be. All these little things.
Yeah.
But hindsight 2020, I could look back on the festival saying, yeah, we really did do good. And I should be proud, but you know, like it's interesting. Like I always 100% knew that I could do it. I just didn't see it. And sort of like that moment of surprise where, yeah, it's an accomplishment, but I didn't get that feeling of gratification. And it's not ego or confidence, but you know, you just know something where it just like seeing that it was proven was not a surprise to you. And I think that's why I have a hard time even feeling proud about a lot of things, because, you know, just like, I guess when I know something, I just know it. And I definitely appreciate it. And, you know, I can't wait to do it again. I know what I'm going to learn from it. It was so much fun. The movies that are being submitted right now are fun to watch. I really like them. And, you know, we're like, it's summertime. We're going to be working on some short films, like could sit back, talk to people on the podcast and just enjoy the ride just a little bit. But I don't know. I just haven't felt that moment of just like that joy moment, you know, of like, wow, I can really just be proud of myself.
Oh, well, you should figure out a way to get there because that's important. You have to celebrate the wins. And trust me, I get it. Like there's definitely, you know, things where I'm like I'm very hard on myself. It sounds like you are too. And I think most creatives are. And it's important to kind of celebrate the wins and also remind yourself that like it's about the journey. Like, you know, you learned, I'm sure, so much from this first year festival and you'll get better. I learned so much from making my first short film, and I'm going to take the things I learned and bring it into the next one and hope that everything keeps getting better and better and better. But
oh, well, I mean, your film was nice. It was more than nice. I think I'm being nice. It was nice. I did enjoy it. And, I really, I'm curious, where can people see it? If anybody wants to I don't know, get it, take 15 minutes and just check it out.
So we'll do an online release after this year. Like we're going through the festival circuit this year, and festivals, a lot of them say they don't want anything online or released commercially, theatrically. So follow the rules right now, and then after this year, most likely we're going to do an online release. I just have to talk to San, who's the director, about it.
How would they know? I mean, honestly, no way would they ever find out.
I know, but you never know. So following the rules, I'm a rule follower.
Triborough Film Festival, no, we didn't have rules. That's none of my business.
I love that. I love the festivals that don't have rules. I've love looking at all of them, and it's the bigger ones that unfortunately, who knows why they have the rules that they have, but I don't know. You gotta follow them, I guess.
So they want virgin movies?
Yeah, pretty much. They want premieres. I
think I just invented that phrase, virgin films. They want virgin films. All right. That's weird. Ew. Scratch that. Ugh. But what's your next step? You got the documentary, you got the film. When are you going to start pre-production or start filming?
That I'm not sure of. I'd say next step is with White Noise. It's going to be screening at New York Cinefest on Friday, May 5th at 5 p.m.
Let's go.
Yeah. And again, at Hang On to Your Shorts on May 7th at 3 p.m. And then I'm just waiting to hear back there's a couple more New York festivals that should be letting us know next month. And hopefully, there's a bunch of more screenings this year, and I'll kind of just be focusing on that and this documentary, maybe start writing some ideas. I've been kicking some stuff around with my boyfriend who's a writer, and so we'll see. But
is he into cutting people's heads off, or Dale and Tucker Do Evil? That was funny. I like Dale and Tucker Do Evil. I could watch that horror movie all the time.
I've never seen it, but I will ask him.
Who's Dale and Tucker Do Evil? He'll know if you're not in horror and not know this movie. It's the Room of Horrors.
I'll ask him. But yeah, that's kind of, in classes, keeping my instrument tuned and auditioning, hoping to just keep meeting filmmakers and collaborate with them on projects. And yeah.
Can we do exclusive movie night of White Noise this summer?
Yeah. We can talk about that. That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. We'll go to the beer garden, and we'll have an hour. We'll watch for 15 minutes, drink, and do a Q&A.
That would be awesome.
I think that'd be really cool. That'd be a fun night of just, meet a few film directors and stuff.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Let's talk about it.
All right. Well, I got to say, thank you so much for coming on the show. I definitely can't wait to have you back. We always have one final word called The Right Words at the Right Time. And it all started when I actually read this book called The Right Words at the Right Time when I first started out. And it's just a collective of interviews from celebrities or athletes, politicians. But the one thing they all had in common to actually get to the point where they are in life is that they were at some point given the right words at the right time. So for everything that you've ever been through, has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time that have always stuck with you, through better or worse, through thick and thin, or do you have some words of your own that you want to share?
I'd say This Too Shall Pass has always helped me. because when we're down, it feels horrible and it feels like it's never going to end. And I always look back like a week or two later and things are already so much better. And I'm like, oh yeah, like it does pass. Like our emotions are fleeting. So, I'd say just I think like riding the wave is what life's about. And, the downs are what makes the joys and things in life so much better. And I think also like, things being about like it's always the simple things in life that bring you the most joy. We all want to get to something, but you see later it's never as what it is. And really, it's like the relationships in your life that really are what life's about. So, yeah. I'd say like the best thing I ever did was take my breaks from acting to be a full human and like enjoy life. And I think that's really important for creatives to do, like hustle and do your thing, but like live your life too, because it's short, but it's long, and it's long, but it's short. If that makes any sense.
Stop thinking that, everybody. I know what you're thinking right now. Take it as words of wisdom, please. This too shall pass. Caroline, you're an absolute delight. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for your time. I'll leave you with this. Wherever you go and whatever you do, always remember, never forget community, creativity, and joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Well said. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Ciao for now.
All right. Bye.